This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
All right, let's get it going here today on Diamond Conversations, of course, a part of the Place to Be Nation podcasting network. If you didn't know by now, my name is Ian, and every single week we're joined by somebody who had some history in the game of baseball, and we talk about it, and we go over it, and we walk back down memory lane, and today is no different. Although I'm in a different setting, I'm not in my usual studio. We are joined today by former Philadelphia Philly and Boston Red Sox Wes Chamberlain joining us today. What's going on, Wes? How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Ian. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thrilled to have you on. And, also joined by the producer and statistician extraordinaire, Mr. Doug Barclay, here in the middle. But it's cool to have you on. I love talking to players from, my era, from the 80s and 90s. That's my that's my favorite time to go back and talk about. But let's talk about what you're doing now, the Wes Chamberlain Slugfest baseball and softball. This is my favorite part about doing these interviews, is finding out what you're doing after your career, because this is the kind of stuff players like you should be doing, passing on tools to the next generation.
Well, Ian, I've been doing that, technically since 03, 04. And right now I was doing it full time, but now it's only part time because it's seasonal. And I enjoy doing it. It's a baseball. I have my own baseball academy, and I shut it down due to the fact that just the business aspects of it, because I didn't like the fact of being in the building all the time. So it's a seasonal thing. I still do it. What I did was broke it down to whereas now I do booth rent from another facility from a gentleman who used to play, Mark Dorn. He has his facility. It's called Diamonds Baseball Academy. So what I do is I pay him booth rent and go from like about November to April. That's just the part-time thing. And other than that, now I just invest in certain financial mutual funds and things of that nature, whatever I feel I could get my hands into to make me some money, so that I can enjoy the game of golf and have my new thing is golf now.
Awesome. It seems like that's what a lot of former ball players and stuff do. They take up golf. I could never wear the pants personally, Wes. So I don't know if I could do golf.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's just like life, Ian. I mean, you it's like a cup of coffee. You either want it black, you want it creamy, or you want it white. You know what I mean? You either want no sugar, you want sugar. With golf, with certain athletes, like with baseball players, we're golfing a lot in spring training. So it's not like a bug or it's not like an itch. It's just become a part of something. As for me, a hobby that you like saying, oh, okay, we get out here, we can swing a few clubs. You can have a few cigars or have a cocktail here and there, somewhat like that. But the thing is that I never looked at it like that. I looked at it always as something like, oh, whoa, this is something, you can really, put your mind to and accomplish something, and hey, you can make business deals out here. Oh, okay, this is something. Right. There you go. You're laughing, so you understand where I'm going with this.
That sometimes is the best kinds. I mean, I've been to many a charity event. I've been to many a golf outing where that's pretty much the topic of conversation, is some sort of business dealings and ball busting. We could just say it like that. So it's that there's a couple things encompassing the golf game.
Exactly. There you go. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like entrepreneurship. If you can play, the better you play, the more people you meet, because then you get invited to certain outings, shotguns, tournaments, and things of that nature. And then, you travel. And as a former athlete, that's what you're used to doing. You're traveling. Right. The only thing about it is that, hey, you have to get up earlier now, the schedule shifts. There ain't no more night games. They're all day games.
That's true. But hey, as long as you lowered your overhead by not having to have your own place. So, make your schedule and do whatever you want.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, Ian.
That's fantastic. No, but it's cool today. So now, are you still watching the game actively? Are you still a baseball fan?
Well, yes and no. I've always been a baseball fan. It's been a part of my life. We all know 2020 pandemic is, that's with that, with what's happening today, is total difference. But far as the game wise, I mean, I'm thankful because I've always loved baseball. I mean, that's what I've always wanted to do as a kid, as a 4-year-old, and it was a dream come true. So I love the game of baseball. Now, as far as this, I like seeing it in person. I enjoy more going to the stadium, going to the Cubs game, because right now I'm residing in Chicago still. So I love going to the White Sox games, and I love going to the stadium because it's like going to the movies. So I don't watch it as much on TV because I'm not a big fan of what they're pushing. I'm not a big fan of the analytics. I'm gonna just be honest.
Right.
So I don't enjoy watching it because I'm like, I enjoy the playoffs. When it comes down to the playoffs, I'm there, because I can pretty much tell who's going to win, So right. And then you see the strategic comes in it. Right now during the season, I don't see strategic. I just see guys just lining up. It's almost like it's like how you playing with a 16-inch, but it's coming baseball style. So it's like batting practice. Like if I can hit a home run, I can hit it. If I can do this, I can do that. If I can strike this guy, I can strike. It's like how we used to play when we was kids. It's not like it's not the way that I played in my career, but it's Major League Baseball. So I take it as it is.
Yeah, I think last year, obviously this year, I mean, you kind of, not that you wash away the season, but it's just, it's so unpredictable. I think if we looked at last year, we saw an infusion of a lot of younger players into the game, a lot of hot rookies coming in that were changing the more flashy style of, certain aspects of it. But on paper, that baseball was flying out of the ballpark at a record pace. And not that takes away from it, but from the, maybe quote older school mentality, I prefer, the good pitching beats good hitting. Not every run is determined on a home run, and every out is on a strikeout. And I think that's the biggest difference that we see in the game right now.
Okay, I agree with you. I mean, if it's more like I agree 100% with you on that, and I'm saying to Wes that you want home runs. That's just like in the 90s when they say, "Oh, the balls are juiced. They're going out. They're flying out." And it's like, okay, we want home runs, but that's like all-star game stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That ain't the game. That's not the game. With the wild cards, that's like giving teams opportunities to make it to the playoffs so that you can say, "Oh, well, this team, they had a chance and now they made it to the playoffs." It wasn't like, "Oh man, we didn't get a wild card." That's the excitement part about it. But for this, we're looking at, it's like basically guys are playing a shift throughout the whole game, and it's like, are you serious?
And that's killed a lot of it because the strategy has gone. And you mentioned the wild card, so that came in '95, and that was a big difference because if you went back in history, and you were on a lot of teams that I'm sure probably if they had a chance at a wild card could have had a good shot at a championship, and that was a big difference.
And they didn't win, right? It was only the two top teams won, and that's what I'm saying. And now with the wild card, the people, they was like, "Oh, well, now we're going to add another wild card," which is good. That's what I'm saying. That makes you watch baseball. That shortens the season and gets right to the playoff, but it kept everything intensified because the games meant things. I'm saying you were in the moment. Your blood, you watch pitch by pitch. It's nothing more than sitting on the edge of the seat and you, come on, we need this. That's baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Wes, this is Doug over here. You mentioned the shortening up of the games. What do you think about the double 7-inning, the 7-inning doubleheaders they're doing now? Do you think that that's still the same type of competitive game, or if it's a little interesting for this year?
Well, according to where we are in life, I don't see, I got no problem with that. I think that's a good thing. We did it in college. I played college ball. We played 7-inning all doubleheaders with 7 innings in college. And from the professional standard, I understood there used to be a question back when I was breaking in pro ball, like how come the college play doubleheaders 7 innings and the pros play 9 innings? obviously it was for the gate, the 2 games, and then you close the stadium and you reopen the stadium, and you make more money. But I don't see a problem with it. Actually, I think it helps the bullpen, it helps the pitching staff, and they don't have to be worried about calling guys up. So I don't see a problem with it.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, that's all we can say. But again, it kind of goes in line with this whole season. It's really different. But let's talk about some different times. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about getting drafted and going back to your foray into to Major League Baseball and your story. So if you can share your. We talk now about draft night, and now it's on MLB Network, and now it's all about the glitz and the glamour, and it's all a big deal. But let's go back to, what was it, 1984? Didn't you get drafted? Is that what? Talk about your draft class, your draft year, and how you got drafted. That whole story.
Well, I got drafted. First year was 1984, and then the second time was 1987. 1984 was in high school.
That's
right. 1984, I drafted in high school, but I didn't sign. I went on to college, and I got drafted again in 1987 out of college, and then I wind up signed it. But with you want me to expound on
talk about what was it,
or do you want me to answer to what it is today? Like,
no, let's talk about when you got drafted, what it was like. Again, we see it now as a whole deal. It's a TV special, it's this and that, but then it's probably just a phone call. So talk about, getting drafted, what that was like.
Yes, then it was a phone call because you just didn't know. I mean, so you waited. Teams called you. They got in touch with your coach because you were still a minor. So you had a lot of recruiting going on. You had all of the things was in the newspaper back then. And so when you started seeing all the recruiters coming more and more to the school, then for me, it kind of dawned on me like, well, wow, I could be drafted out of high school. Serious, the real thing kicked in when I had the White Sox. Jerry Krause, he was a scout for the White Sox, and he's passed right now. Of course, you know that he was the GM for the Chicago Bulls.
Yep, absolutely.
So I met him personally. That was and we kept that relationship since 1984. Wow. I used to go to the Bulls games. I used to give him a call. He left me tickets, and I mean, and that's what I'm talking about. Things like that is that we knew the community once you met people. So as Jerry Krause being the scout, he brought me in for a tryout before the draft. We talked. He met my mom, and they talked and everything, and I can remember that when he brought me in the first day, I didn't show up for the practice, the workout, and he called the next day, and he's like, "Oh, okay, well, you didn't show up." And I said, "I got to be honest with you, I was scared. I thought you guys was gonna make me sign a contract. I never done this before. I don't have an agent, don't have a representative, and I just told my mom I'm not gonna show up." So with that, he was like, "Well, we can understand you being scared. We can understand you being nervous, and believe me, this is not the first time that it ever happened." And I was like, "Wow." I said, "Well, I guess you guys won't be drafting me." And so, yeah, I mean, you don't know, you just don't know. So I was just honest with him, and from that day forth, that was my first approach as business, as 17-year-old. Just remember, they say in business, there's 2 ways to handle business. You either be upfront, professional, and truthful, or you can be a swindle, a snake in the grass, or whatever you want to call it. And I learned that. And then, with that being said, as I started meeting agents and I started hearing conversations, as I started learning, and I was like, oh wow, this is what it's about now. Okay, this is the professional side, this is the amateur side. And so it was pretty much on the job learning in the 80s and then in the 90s. So with that being said, the second time being drafted, I wind up having a representative then in 1987. So now that's a total, now I'm like being on the business side, because now you like, this opportunity is becoming fruition now. It's like, okay, now you no longer you get an opportunity to play pro ball. Now you're going to be going against guys, taking guys' jobs that you've been watching on TV that you might have idolized.
Right.
So it's nothing. It's just like how Ben Roethlisberger, the Steelers, he was saying that he wasn't going to help no guy to take his position. And a lot of amateurs don't understand that. Oh, well, why you're not a team player? No, it's not the fact that I'm a team player. No, this is business. He has to learn just like I has to learn. And I got to keep my job as long as I got to keep my job until I'm not able to do this physically anymore. And people don't understand that. You got Bryce Harper coming for my job. No, he's number one draft. No, he's got time to wait. I got to keep my job. I got to get me another contract. So these guys don't understand that about that, Ian and Doug.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to give up their spot when they know somebody's right on their heels? And it's different too. I mean, if you just say you're even, I can think of a couple stories off the top of my head where guys, they fought tooth and nail even towards the end of a career where they knew their number was up, but held on maybe a little too long, and it could have hurt their, maybe their all-time legacy because they didn't want to give up that spot. But the thing I find really interesting with it is the fact that you were drafted by the Pirates both times. So usually you hear if a guy doesn't go in the first time he's drafted, he ends up kind of going to a different team. But were the Pirates always were they on your radar, or did they keep in contact with you about, how you were going to eventually sign with them or get drafted by them again?
No, they didn't do that because that would have been illegal. But the thing is that through the scouting process, I had, Bill Brick and Art Stewart. Bill Brick was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was the scout that was scouting me my senior year. And Art Stewart was the other scout. He was with the Kansas City Royals. Those guys got to know us personally. They came out to our games more. Those two guys were the only two scouts that came out to more of our games than any other scout in the area. So they kind of built up a rapport with us. And the Pirates at that time, they drafted three of us. It was me, Terrence Smith, who was the catcher, and Gerald Ingram, who was an outfielder. And that was the first time that ever happened in history, that they draft three high schoolers off one team. And
wow.
We was we was a public school team, and they was like, wow, by being a minority, a minority's high school, Simeon. But they got to know us personally. I mean, they would come to our practices. They would stay and ask the coach to sit there. Can we talk to them a little bit? And as it got closer to the draft, that's when they done all our separate interviews with our parents. And, they got to know us. So with that being said, Bill Brick was still with the Pirates 3 years later. So I found it strange. But then as I got, as I started getting older and growing and I started, learning the business, no, I mean, they do this all the time. That's why they started sending back later on when guys were getting drafted and the organization had the rights to guys. They was like, no, you're not going to have the rights. You're going to lose those rights so that other people can get opportunity to draft them if they don't sign out of high school.
Now, Wes, I got a question about that first year you're in the minors. It's interesting. I'm so used to, looking at guys when they get to that first team, only getting a few hundred, maybe at bats in their first year. You had over 400, almost 500 plate appearances that first year. Can you talk about that first year playing in pro ball? You played with a lot of guys like Tony Longmire, Rick Reed, Scott Ruskin, a lot of guys that made the majors. Talk about that first year.
Are you talking about first year affiliate or first year at major league level or what?
First year in the minors.
Okay, my first year in the minors, I was in Watertown, New York. So if you got if you got a baseball card, you'll see you'll see how many at bats I had. But with that being said, it was a short season, 76 games, and Jeff Cox was my first manager, and Buzzy Keller was the minor league director. And like I said, everything was a learning process. Buzzy Keller came in. The Pirates, they had a lot of minority players, a lot of Latino players, a lot of African-American players. I felt that they was the organization that had the most minority players at that time because they had a lot of the African Americans and Latino players, and they was the only players to put all minorities in a lineup on one day in the major leagues.
Wow.
Yeah, they was the only major league team to have all 9 positions with minorities. It was all Latin guys and all black guys, not one Caucasian in the lineup. The pitcher was black that day too. But with that being said, when you start as a young guy, when you start learning the business, you just take all these nuggets that people are throwing at you, everything that people are speaking to you that's been involved in the business, they're talking to you. So it's like you gotta be a sponge. You gotta be a young man, but you gotta be a child, because they're mentoring you and they're pushing you, because the organization wants you to be successful. But the catch is that you might not make it with this organization, but there are 29 more organizations that you can make it with. And so with that being said, that's how a lot of guys fall by the wayside, because it's business. It's business. And guys don't understand that, man, I got Barry Bonds, Bonilla, and Van Slyke in front of me. How am I going to get to the show in this organization? You know, Barry Bonds a rookie, Bobby Bowes a vet. I'm like, dude, these, you know, how's it going to happen? I wind up getting traded. Bam, I'm in the show. So with that being said, in pro ball, you're approaching it like, well, I got to get a contract. I got to get out here. I got to stay healthy. I got to take advantage. I got to put my work in. So with the work, with all of the rover instructors, you build up a rapport with your organization. The people become to like you, so they know you can play, but they watching you grow into becoming a young man and how you carry yourself as a professional. So that was my experience, and meeting all these guys. We're all in competition. There's 9 outfielders. There's only 3 spots. I got to have one. I'm out there every day. And no offense to you, Ian, no offense to Doug, if you're my teammate, but I'm getting one of those positions. And you know that. So it's a dog-eat-dog world. That's what it is. That's my opinion. That's what I feel. That's what I've experienced, and I lived it.
And you just nailed it. I mean, Van Slyke, Bonds, Bonilla in front of you. They weren't going anywhere. And that Pirate team, by the time you got traded, they were huge. They were on top of the world. They were dominant, and it was, you know. And
I was playing against them.
Yeah, and we've heard
playing against them. I made it. Yeah, I made it to the majors, and I was playing against them, beating them.
Right.
With the Phillies.
Yeah.
So it was like, it ain't saying that I don't have the talent. It ain't saying that I can't play. It's just that there's no room for you right now at this time, even though you're flourishing way ahead of schedule, because we're giving you time in the minor leagues is to develop you, because you never played back to back to games every day. In college you play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or you go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, there's breaks in between, even, you know, but pro baseball is every day.
Yeah, crazy. So, yeah, you get traded to the Phillies, and like you said, it's a business thing. You know, now you got fostered by one organization. Well, now it's time to get your chance, and you're with the Phillies. And it kind of seems like once a Philly, always a Philly. The Philly fans are a different breed of cat. We can say that much. They are an intense group of fans. But the interesting thing about it is you came to a Phillies team that, you know, had some trials and tribulations, but was building, and eventually worst to first. The Philly team of 1993 goes from the year before horrible, a laughing stock, or you know, everybody's struggling, to the fact that you guys made it. But talk about getting traded to Phillies and the environment of that team.
Well, I got traded to the Phillies. I got picked up off the waivers. So, you know, and so then with that, I knew I was going to the show. But the thing is that I didn't know was I going to be able to play. And then, as you say, Phillies was going through a transition. I had Nick Leyva as the manager at that time. And Nick, utmost respect for him. He gave me every opportunity. And then he got fired. Then Fregosi came in. So we were going through everything that you just spoken, with the transition and the firing of Nick Leyva, the bringing in Fregosi, picking up people here, picking up people there, trying to put a winner on the field. And going through that, my first 3 years, everything was like a carousel because I'm trying to earn a contract, trying to become a professional. Lenny Dykstra gets over, Darren Dalton's there, John Crooks get traded, Charlie Hayes there, me and Dave Hollins, we're on the bench. Ricky Jordan's there. I'm just talking about position players because after a while, our whole pitcher staff was new. Kurt Schilling and Tommy Green was just getting. I mean, so it's kind of like we were all pieces put together from all parts of organization that just mesh under the leadership of Darren Dalton and Lenny Dykstra, because they made the trade for Lenny for Juan Samuel, who was a fan favorite, and Lenny comes over playing from the Mets, and he meshes with Bubba, with Dutch. He blends with Dan Dalton, excellent, and that's the foundation there. That's the leadership, and that's what tenure is about in the major league. You had that culture. Dutch had learned from Mike Schmidt, Bob Boone, and all them guys, and he developed. It's like a fraternity, but it's a respect. And the thing is that once you got the leadership in place, you can bring guys in. The respect is going to be in that clubhouse, and that's what made us into winners, because we had a pillar. That was Darren Dalton. Period. Right. Dutch. He was our captain, and so we speaking like how we're speaking. We're speaking as professionals. We're speaking as men, and we're giving the respect that have been earned. And that was the culture of us blending together and coming together and playing, doing a job that we know we can do, and we knew that it was us against the world.
So what's the high mark memory for you in Philly? Is it winning the pennant in '93? Is it the culmination of years of literally grinding from the bottom to the top? Like what's your defining Philly moment?
There's not a define. I don't have one yet. I mean, because life is still going first, but as a player, there's still no defining. I could say playing in the World Series is the highlight of my career, making it to the World Series. I can say that. There's no defining moment to the fact that it's like, okay, you as a player, come on, man. No, there's no defining moment. I mean, because I just went through steps of building stones. I mean, making it to the show is one thing. That's 1 in a million from where I come from. And second, to be able to learn how to become a professional and carry yourself in professional baseball is another thing. And then building relationships is a third thing. So there's pillars with that team. Yeah, I mean, that, like you said, that's a lovable team, and people love that team, even though we didn't win the World Series. So with that being said, I guess I won't have a defining moment until I'm on my deathbed. That's just the way I feel about it. That's my opinion. But playing in the 1993 World Series was the highlight of my career due to the fact of who I played with and who I earned it with and who I went through it with. And I mean, the only downside was that we lost. But I mean, hey, a kid from the south side of Chicago, black kid, growing up with a dream to make it to the major leagues since I was 4 years old. My brothers taught me how to play the game, and they told me that I could do it, and I did it. That's a defining moment, making it to the major leagues, and then being able to be on here with you guys to share that. That's why I've written my book. That's why I did everything the way I wanted to do it, because not to say to take anything away from all the people who've helped me, all the organizations that I played with, those people that are empowered, that have given me the opportunity that took a liking to me. That's a defining moment, because it takes someone to like you in order to get an opportunity in any professional sport. So that's a defining moment for me. I'm grateful that somebody liked me and given me the opportunity to play a child's sport, to make my dream come true. That's my defining moment.
Now, Wes, I got a couple of stats I wanted to throw at you. You mentioned before about playing against the Pirates after you went to Philly. And I went and I looked it up, and Pirates had some good pitching then. In your first year against them, John Smiley, you go 4 for 10, 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. Doug Draybeck, you go 3 for 7 with a 429 clip. What was it like? Was there some extra oomph behind you when you played them, or did you just get to know those guys and how they threw?
No, man, it's just competitiveness, man. I mean, and then you when you play sports, you wanna have good games against the organization where you felt you should have had opportunity. But the business side lets you know that, hey, they still looked out for me. When I say looked out, they still gave me the opportunity to even be on the playing field. But sometimes that happened, man. I mean, and you do. Like, I wish I could have played for the Cubs or the White Sox. And I always had good games at Wrigley Field. I always played good at Wrigley. I love playing at Wrigley. And it's just that, like you say, the meter probably did go up. I mean, John Smiley was one of my tutors over there. Doug Draybeck, I knew him, but I didn't know much. But John Smiley, Bob Kipper, those were the young pitchers, the young guns. They would come over to the complex and talk to us and root us to get help you guys get a chance to be over here with us. So I knew them guys personally. They mentored me personally. I kind of watched their lifestyle. They would say, hey, when you make it to the big league, save all your money. Don't do nothing. And I was like, wow, that's exactly what I did. So everything was becoming a business, even though we were playing a child's game. So yeah, you want to be successful, and I did have success against them, and I would have loved to put on that black and gold. I mean, but the business aspect didn't allow it to be.
Absolutely. And I got a couple quick Wes Chamberlain trivia questions for you about some of the other guys that you played against. You have 3 doubles against one pitcher, is the most doubles you have against one guy. Do you know who you hit 3 doubles in your career off of, the most against one pitcher?
Wow, no, I don't. I got to be honest, no.
He played for the Cubs, you mentioned before, Wrigley Field. Paul Assenmacher.
Wow, no.
4 for 8 with 3 doubles. Other guys that come up, some of the best pitchers of the day. Bob Ojeda, you're 6 for 10 off Ojeda with your 600 average. Jim DeShay, 6 for 13. I mean, Steve Avery, 5 for 14. Good for a 357 clip. Was there anything that those guys have in common that you remember?
No, I mean, they all left-handed pitchers. That's the only thing they have in common. But I mean, when you're a ball player, hey, you out there to do a job and out there to do a job. You're in the lion's den. You're in the lion's den. It's you against the pitcher. I don't care what the catcher puts down. You got it. You got to see the ball and hit the ball. That's it.
And then one last one. I don't want to end on a sour note, but there's one guy who looks like, from the stats, kind of had your number. You have 8 strikeouts against him, which is the most of anyone that you played against. Do you know who had your number the most?
No.
Brian Barnes.
Ryan Barnes?
Brian Barnes, 8 for 21 with 2 hits. Or I'm sorry, 2 for 21 with 8 Ks.
Was he with the Houston Astros? Is that Ryan Barnes?
He was with the Expos. Yeah, he was with the Expos.
Expos. Ryan Barnes. No, I never. He probably caught me on that streak when I had like 8 strikeouts in a row. I was on a series when we was playing the Pirates, the Expos.
Yeah.
And I remember striking out, and Dale Murphy came up to me and told me on deck, "You're swinging entirely too hard." And I'll never forget that. So when you said that, that could have been in that stretch, because I remember having 8 strikeouts in a row in 2 games.
Oh man!
And it was against the Expos and it was against the Pirates, and the Pirates and Dale Murphy. That was his last year. That year with me, as on the team, because the next year we had a lot of free agents. But I remember that stretch. Yeah. So, and that's how baseball is. That's just how baseball is.
We've had a few guys on. We had on Bill Madlock a few weeks ago, one of the greats ever. Talked about how hitting in Montreal apparently was not an easy task. I don't know if that had anything to do with it too.
Well, you know, you don't see the ball good in certain places, but you know, as an athlete, you don't make mistakes. I mean, you don't make excuses. You know, I mean, then by Bill Madlock being a career 300 hitter, hey, take it from him, Mad Dog. I mean, look, I got no argument. I got no beef with him.
But somewhere Barnes is telling the story. Man, did I have Wes Chamberlain's number like you would not believe?
Yeah. And you know what? That's why I say, with that being said, because a lot of you know, you face a lot of guys coming up through the minor leagues, and the guys who you face through the minor leagues, it pans out once we get to the show. So in the minor leagues, I probably had his number, and we got to the show, he had mine. Doug, in baseball, the pitcher always has the advantage. Nobody understands that, because I faced one guy one time, he struck me out. So he's got the advantage. I got to face him 2 out of 3 times. I mean, 3 out of 10 times to at least be successful. So if I go 1 for 3, I'm fine. But if I don't get the third at bat, then he's got the upper hand. So I've always looked at the numbers when it came to baseball. When I say that, I was like, well, if I faced him one time, I got a hit, I'm a winner.
That's great. All right. So before we head into the wrap up here, I just want to bring this up. This is really funny. Again, I mentioned Philly fans, die hard, you know, the forever a Phil, all that good stuff. But I got to ask, do you ever get sent, or do people ask you to still sign the 1991 Willie Meadows version of the Wes Chamberlain Topps card? Do you still get that sent to you?
You mean Louis? You mean Lou Meadows?
Yeah, Lou. Yeah, Lou.
Yeah, I do. People, I don't know if Topps posted as an error card. I don't know. It might be Topps. Yeah, I get that all the time, and I send it back. I write error card on it. Yeah, so I do get it. Yeah.
That's one of those things that just sticks out of your head forever, remembering that growing up, that was the error card. Because, I mean, I know we grew up in New Jersey, so we would go down to Philly. So, I mean, I knew who you were. I used to watch you play. I'd go to the vet, and I remember this being like, did they even check these things? Did they QC them to make sure it wasn't the right guy? So, very, very funny. Don't send that to Wes Chamberlain, or don't ask to get it autographed. It's not going to happen. So,
thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to head into the wrap up here. Of course, it's Diamond Conversations. And, you know, before we say goodbye, please, if you have anything that you'd like to share with the listeners, any place they can find you, Twitter, places, you know, you're posting stuff about your baseball training, please, you know, I give you the floor. It's all yours.
Well, you know, you can reach me at theweschamberlain.com. I'm in the Chicagoland area for now. That's all for hitting baseball, softball lessons, pitching, fielding, running, throwing, things of that nature. You can pick up my book. It's an ebook only at Amazon called, title is In the Game. That's my biography. It's a quick read. It's only 100 pages. I did everything myself. I published it. I wrote it with that. And I'm on Twitter and I'm on LinkedIn. Other than that, I keep it simple. I keep it plain. And I'm just open for opportunities. I know we're in the pandemic, and I know how people are running scams, and I know identity theft. So I just keep it simple. And, you know, I know that we're not doing a lot of traveling for motivational speaking and a lot of mentoring and things. So that's why I'm playing golf, so I could do a little bit more network and do it. That's why I've done you guys' show, because I've done some podcasts before, and I felt comfortable on it, doing it. And I figured that this is a positive thing, and this is a way of people getting a chance to meet me, and not through my reps. So, you know, if you want to support me, you can go to Wes Chamberlain at Twitter, Wes Chamberlain at LinkedIn or Amazon to purchase the book, because the book is only in ebook. It's not in hard copy. I did that on purpose. So there you have it. Thank you for the time.
Yeah. Appreciate it very much. And, you know, again, this is Diamond Conversations. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at ChadEMB. If you want to follow Doug, it's at Doug Barclay 17. And, a great walk down memory lane. And for this week's edition of Diamond Conversation, it's over. Sorry to say. We'll catch you next time. Diamond Conversations. See you later.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Place to Be Nation's JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have over 24 podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we dive into topics running the gamut from today's WWE to the glory days of yesteryear and the ins and outs of the territory days. In addition to our full-length shows, we also deliver to you special pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop feed is a veritable treasure trove of great content. Offer tremendous shows covering the land of movies, television, life, comics, and sports, brought to you by the most knowledgeable and insightful folks in the podcast world.
You can find all these great shows, plus archives of our past podcasts from over the past 8 years as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while you're there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth search projects, and much more. Be sure to support our site by using www.PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when doing your online shopping. And we want to thank our friends at Boneheads Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and TheHistoryOfWrestling.com as well. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop